is who is listening? Who's listening when we have official policy from a ministry? Do the governors actually listen to him? And then, even more importantly, are the 540 kabupatens and kota madhyas actually, do they have to listen to the ministry? That's something which I hope we will explore in our next session, which again looks at how we're managing this tourism. How are we making things more positive? I just spent last week in Bali, and I was driving myself around and driving myself crazy because it's not a good experience driving in Bali. There are too many cars, too many motorcycles, and so over tourism is a definite problem. I mean, it's there's no point in ignoring it. You can't get down some streets because there's motorcycles parked there. I mean, it's just dreadful experience. Most tourists don't drive themselves, so that's kind of okay, but also the public transport is not there. So we got some, when we talk about AI taking us into the future, I think we've got some pretty practical problems to solve, first of all. If we haven't solved waste, energy, water, parking, traffic, there's no point in moving on to enhancing experiences through AI until we've got that all locked away. There's a long way to go as far as the practical is concerned. I'm now going to invite our first panel on stage. And I think we'll just ask you all to come up, and then we'll introduce Pak Eddy, Ibu Pauline, and Pak William. Let's get you all on stage together. Big round of applause for our esteemed guests. Wherever you would like to sit. If anyone doesn't know about William Wongso, you've obviously been hidden in a cupboard for the last 50 years because he is one of Indonesia's icons in the culinary industry. But Eddy is head of Indonesian Affairs and Policy at Indonesia AirAsia, will not be answering questions on on-time performance. This is about tourism. And Ibu Pauline will be trying to tell us how do we get to 1.2 million billion visitors. But we're going to go in order. But Eddy has got a small presentation to go to begin with. Let me just give you a quick introduction. I've lost by Eddy's CV. Just tell us who you are. But, because he has got such a long history of involvement in the tourism industry, not just in AirAsia, but
Thank you, Alistair. Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Eddy Krismeidi. I'm currently head of Indonesia Affairs and Policy of Indonesia AirAsia. But at the same time, I also have another hat. I'm currently also the president of ASEAN Tourism Association based in Kuala Lumpur. I've been having this role for the past 5 years, and I just re-elected last year, and my term will complete next year. So I think that's my background. As that, you want me to?
it's much longer than that. He's really quite an expert. But thank you. ASEANTA is an important one because it shows the interconnectivity of the countries as well. Though I have to say we don't hear much about what they're doing, but that's not today's discussion. Please continue with your presentation, Pat.
Okay, can I screen my screen? Okay, so basically in this session, I just like to highlight uh, introduction about how is Indonesia AirAsia status in Indonesia in terms of serving Indonesia network. Can I move to the next slide? Oh, click it. Here, yeah. Looking? Maybe I just stand up. Here.
Unfortunately, it's not coming on the Matador screen here. So, but Eddy's struggling to remember his presentation. Oh, but Williams has come up.
Oh, it's different computer.
So the title of this session is Beyond the Norm, Uncovering What Truly Drives Tourism in Indonesia. So we've got three very different perspectives here, which will be very interesting. Obviously from a travel perspective, then from a culinary perspective, and from a travel agent's perspective as well. So very... you can sit down again, Pak Eddy.
Okay. So just move to the next slide. Oh. Okay. So this is the network. So basically, Indonesia AirAsia is one of the airline member of the AirAsia group. We have 7 airline group within AirAsia group. So 5 operating Airbus A320. So it consists now we have Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, and Cambodia. And we have also Airbus A330, which is based in Thailand and Malaysia. So 2025, we basically serve 23 international routes and 11 domestic routes. So in Asia itself, in Indonesia, we try to focus on mostly on international rather than domestic. Yeah, our domestic route in 2025 is pretty small. Our market share is only up to 3%. But in terms of international, we are number one in terms of market share. We are roughly around 12% for Indonesia Asia alone. And if we combine with the group, it consists up to 19 to 20% of market share for international inbound to Indonesia. So this is the status that we have for 2025. In 2025, we carried around 9.3 million of passenger. Then in terms of number of tourists coming, we contributed 1.9 million as a group, where Indonesia AirAsia alone, we contribute around 1 million international tourists coming to Indonesia, with composition 40% Malaysia, 11% Australia, 9% China, 6% India, and 3% of Singapore. So this is the more or less the composition that we have in terms of market share. Then this is from last year holiday season. We contribute numbers of around 500,000 of total passenger that we carried for holiday season during Christmas and New Year Eve. And this is for 2026. In March, we will add another route, opening up more domestic. So in domestic, we are going to add with 5 more routes. So in total, we will have around 25 routes for internationals and 15 routes for domestic. We have additional 2 new routes for international, namely from Bali to Da Nang and Bali to Melbourne, using Airbus A320. And then for domestic, we add 4 routes: Surabaya Makassar, Makassar Kendari, Makassar Lubuk, and Makassar Palu. This is the fleet that we have. So total we have 27 aircraft. Yeah, maybe some of you also question why. Maybe many of us are asking why we have such high airfare for domestic. And one of the contribution factor is just that the slow recovery of the airline industry within Indonesia. So you can imagine that before pandemic, total serviceable aircraft in Indonesia is around 750 aircraft serviceable. And ideally, Indonesia should have around 2,000 actually. But yet, after pandemic, even last December 2025, the status of serviceable aircraft is only 360. So less than half. How you can imagine, the demand is still there, but the supply is quite limited. So that's a challenge for us in Indonesia. So I think that's more or less the update, Alistair, for Indonesia AirAsia. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to be open for questions after all 3 speakers have done. But I'm going to start off with one question for Eddy straight away, which is, we're talking about tourism today. What sort of percentage of international tourists are you bringing in compared to business? Do you make a difference? Do you I mean, do you look at people got a briefcase or a backpack? How do you know how much you're contributing to tourism?
Okay, I think based on the definition, there is no such thing. As long as they travel more than 24 hour to Indonesia, they consider as one. So within AirAsia alone, we don't differentiate whether it's business or tourist. So within our own data, we we treat it as one, but we have some category. Like for example, if you see um, category of age, uh, gender, and then how long they stay, they can also buy return flight or they just buy one-way flight. I think that's those thing that available within our information.
Interesting. Does AirAsia do advertising for Indonesia in your feeder markets to come to Indonesia for a holiday? I mean, that's a very important thing with the amount of international connections that you have. Are you actively promoting Indonesia?
Yeah, since we are under one group, AirAsia Group, we have established point of sales in our key source market, and they have different team. Like for example, we have point of sale Australia, for example. There's a different team of AirAsia comprising marketing, sales, communication, as well as all operation. Same thing also in other ASEAN countries. So in most ASEAN countries, we are represented. Of course, on top of the airline that operating in the country itself, like of course Thailand, uh, Philippines, Cambodia, Malaysia has their own team that would promote the marketing for AirAsia as a group.
Thank you, Pat Eddy. We're going to move quickly on. First of all, a quick round of applause for Pat Eddy. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for making it an easy way to fly, or whatever the advertising used to be, which is another reason for 1.2 billion people traveling around Indonesia. Pauline, Ibu Pauline is a prominent figure in the Indonesian travel and tourism industry. She is the president of ASTINDO, the Association of Indonesia Travel Agents, and has been part of the scene for, well, as a young lady for not very long, right? But she's going to tell us the perspective from the travel industry. Yes?
Thank you, Alistair.
Thank you.
From the travel agent's perspective, actually, we are sandwich. We are pressed by the vendor suppliers, and also we are pressed by the customers as well. Customers keep asking for the lower price, for the competitive price, while from our government, we heard from Pak Iswin just now that we are more tapping into the more exclusive market, niche market, quality over quantity. So it's kind of bingung tuh apa ya?
Yeah, bingung.
Bingung.
Confusing.
Confusing direction. We need revenue. We need more revenue to pay the salary for our staff, of course. But being travel agents, because I think we all survive after the pandemic. And then last year we faced quite a challenging situation where government cut their spending. So they didn't do much activities in terms of organizing meetings, events, or outing, whatever, in the different cities, because some of our travel agents, especially at the not the and the secondary cities, they really depends on the government spending. So it really give a negative impact to the travel agent industry. I think only in Indonesia, I don't know in other countries, but in Indonesia, when you are invited as a speaker by the government officers, whatever, you will be paid. While in other countries, when you are invited as a speaker, you will just get the thank you letter. So some of our stakeholders, even the government staff themselves, they got less paid last year. Since they didn't have much activities, they didn't have much extra lump sum, so they had less buying power. So last year, Alistair, you mentioned that you've been in Indonesia for 45 years. you will see, especially last year, staycation being lesser. Less people go for staycation, say like Jakarta Puncak, Jakarta Bandung, less traffic during last year, during the weekend, during the long weekend. So we can say that this year we expect better condition, of course. And then the travel agents ourselves, we try to be more creative because now people is looking for a value for money trips, and then because of the financial pressure, the geopolitical situation, the customers also prefer to travel in a small group with their own family because they need the elder generation to fund the trip. So it's a multi-generation trip where the elder, the parents, like Pa William, perhaps you will pay for the to be get to together with your family, your grandchildren. You will fund the trip for them, but then we need to create an activity that suits to these multi-generation travelers. So the parents, perhaps they will enjoy more time at the resort, and then the parents will the parents will bring the kids to the pool or to the water park, to the theme park, whatever. So this is the thing that we try to create, and of course, the current young generation has the different behavior compared to the previous young generation. We can say the millennials, all those people, they love to show off. They love to do a trip. They love to go to a place where it's an Instagrammable spot. They want to post everything. They want to post everything on the social media. While the current young generation, the more mysterious they are, the cooler they are. They don't want to show off. So they don't like to be in the picture. They don't like to be in frame. They hate the parents when their parents show the picture on the social media. Yeah, so that's the different character that we try um, to capture the suitable activities and then the suitable trip for this multi generation.
Pauline, which destinations have actually developed facilities that appeal to this new multi-generational tourism? I mean, apart from Bali, where else is there that people can go and enjoy something that grandpa, mom and pop and the kids can all enjoy?
We can say actually in Indonesia we have a lot of beautiful beach resort. Labuan Bajo is one of them. Belitung, Jogja. It's suitable for multi-generation trip, multi-generation travelers. But the other thing that we need to pay attention for is the medical facility, because the grandparents when they travel, of course we need to pay attention to their health, to the healthcare, whatever. If well, Indonesia has a lot of beautiful destinations, the hidden gems, but the facilities, the infrastructures in some destinations is not really ready yet. Even some transportation is the route is like some closure, some block routes everywhere. So I can say that until now, Bali, Lombok, Belitung, Jogja, Labuan Bajo is still the main destinations that suitable for these multi-generation travelers.
And do you see the local governments participating in this development and making it happen?
I can say the
This is the
government is
question
not.
which no one wants to answer because it's the most important question. The
Yeah.
silo position of the Indonesian government with the bupatis doing what they want and the ministries trying to tell them what to do.
Yeah.
Does that affect the way in which people travel?
Yeah. In fact, our local governments sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times, they don't really pay attention of developing the tourism itself. So I heard what Pak Hedy said about the local government keep mentioning about AirAsia or the other airlines. please pay direct to our city, to our destination, so you can bring more people, more tourists to our destination. But Pak Eddy always said that if the local government do not pay attention for promoting the destination itself, how can we attract people to come to this destination? Flying an aircraft to this destination, from overseas to this destination is one thing, but promoting the destination itself is another one thing. If you promote, then you don't have enough bullets, then it's no point also.
We need to get Iswin back on stage again to answer that one, because that's back at national level. Ibu Pauline will come back to you later, but right now I'd like to move on to Pat William. We'll have more questions to come at the end of this. Pat William, if he needs an introduction, then as I say, you must have been in a cupboard for the last 50 years. He is our icon, our source of knowledge on culinary matters, culinary tourism, the development of Indonesian cuisine, and he is about to tell us, well, the new vision. Let's go, Pat William.
Well, Alison, I know Alistair for also very long time. My position now is I'm doing a lot for the internationally gastro diplomacy program to introduce Indonesian food culture, which is still lesser in the world, lesser known in the world. And the other that I'm doing a lot also culinary tourism to Indonesia and from Indonesia to other country, and also I like to keep promoting to the younger generation to be aware to sustain our diverse food culture. So I like to share you. Can you put in on the beginning, the first page? I like to share you some of my experience for the last more than 25 years. What I've been doing in this area, food industry, tourism, and anything else related. So I always have a tagline called "Food give no barrier to mankind. Food create friendship." We don't talk about politics. I was lucky that I spent 3 days with Anthony Bourdain, and within these 3 days, he never mentioned a single word about fine dining. That's why he said, William, street food always create culinary surprises. That I strongly believe what he was saying. And the other thing, the most recent one, you can Google everything, but you can't Google taste. But now we have to change. You can AI everything, but you still can't AI taste. If AI can produce taste, then all the restaurant will close. That's for sure. Go on. Thank you. Talking about the culinary heritage, it's a lot of culinary heritage is vanishing. Comfort, taste deeply imprinted in our childhood, good childhood memory, and all these things. But now, what happened with the new social media, everything? A lot of the younger generation family, they don't cook anymore at home in Indonesia, but they're very good in pressing the button on the on the on the iPhone, and all the food will come to the doorstep. Trends of today, as heritage on the food culture is a major issue now that every country like to sustain. That is very rare. As where I grew up when we were young, the older generation, we always praising that our grandmother cooking is fantastic, my mother cooking is fantastic. But the younger generation, I never heard anymore praising their mom cooking, except that what he said, my mom is good in pressing the gadget. And all will come. And also there are a lot of invasion of the foreign food coming to Indonesia to minimizing the expansion, the understanding of our local food culture. I always like to visit traditional uh, traditional market wherever I went. Doesn't matter in this in the world. By looking at the condition of the traditional market, I can predict what is the food culture like, what is the economic like. It's from just to look in a glance at the traditional market. And especially another question I always ask when I come to this place that I've never been, where the local have their breakfast. This is also about rice is our staple food, but I don't know if the younger generation understand what is the rice, what the history of rice, what the ancestor eat the rice. Now all the rice are hybrid, fast growing, and they can't detect what is kind of good quality rice anymore. But luckily, there are few small facilities of the companies start to encourage empowering the local to do the indigenous or heritage rice, which take longer to grow, but it's more healthy compared to the the hybrid one. The loss of the agricultural land turned into building to support also the high quality of tourism. It's a lot. Social media influence. Now I'm talking about the good part of social media influence. Since the era of the hype of the social media, maybe more than 60% of Instagram mention about food. So the food issue is very important these days. The travelers is no longer like before. When I was started, first time I went to New York, first thing I booked a hopping city tour bus. But I've been to New York many times. Nobody want to have hop in and out from the bus. They will go for the city tour, New York city tour, a New York food tour. A lot. This is a new service being spread all over the world. Wherever you went, you can hop into the Google or whatever to find out who are the best giving the best service of local culinary tour. Just for the example, maybe a lot of people was telling me, don't go to India to food to eat. Be careful and everything. There's one tour group that I would consider one of the best in the world is in Delhi. They call it Delhi Food Walk. They take you to walk in the morning program, 4 hours. You taste 10 times in this all curated street food. Some of the street food has been there for 50 years, 60 years. Then you enjoy the hustle bustling of the old part of India. That is one. In Vietnam, you jump onto motorbike. They take you around to eat very, very local, which is not mentioned on the food guide. I rarely believe on the food guide. I believe with the local guide, local friend who are a good foodies. 2023 survey of the kitchen, over 81% of survey home cooks make recipe they find on social media. There are two now. A lot now transfer from reading the recipe into looking at the YouTube. So I don't think the home cook or housewife has time anymore to flip the cookbook just to want to cook something. They go direct to the YouTube and get inspired from YouTube and they cook. This is mostly happening in every blogger or influencer has expression of taste, like and dislikes. I also randomly test. They are irrelevant. A lot of them they just come to know how to see the food, how to take the picture of the food, and they literally they don't understand the deep culture of the food itself. They only know things that Instagrammable. I've tested the food praised by the blogger. To my opinion, it's not right.
Actually, but William, it's quite interesting that people take a picture of their food before they taste it. So actually, once they've tasted it, maybe they'd like to take it down again.
Look, look, in this generation, the the younger generation, they don't understand how to enjoy good food. It's not the money. Look, I would not go to eat satay and have my driver to pick up the satay. I will never do that. I will go direct to the vendor next to the roadside in the afternoon. Then after visit them, get the smoky things out from the burner. I went to take a shower, but I get direct the food on the spot. The Chinese stir fried dish will travel 1.5 hours to your table and then put in the microwave. Wouldn't work. So they have to understand this. And this younger generation, they never been properly educated. They only the hype because in the restaurant they take picture until the food is cold. They just eat it. That's what happened, Alistair. It's very sad. Tourism and culinary heritage. You see, Indonesia has 17,000 islands, 34 province. Each province has sub-region. Then I would consider it's one of the most diverse in the world in comparatively to other closer country, which is on the land base. Because like you travel from Aceh to Padang for 1 hour, I hope AirAsia is traveling from Aceh to Padang. The profile is totally different. Totally different, has no relation, non-related between these two regions. And from Padang, you travel to Toba, to Batak food is also totally different. Medan is a melting pot. Jakarta, I would say, one of the greatest melting pot country in the world. Except you don't go for food for 3 hours on the traffic. That's the main problem. Through social media, they are encouraged to taste authentic, learn local food culture, research where to eat and where to see, know local eating habit, discover hidden. The good things are now with the social media these days. Now, among before in 20 years ago, like people had to move from Medan to be posted in Solo. They are starving. They can't eat anything sweet. But now, the younger generation, when they travel to other region, they will Google, they will post on the social media asking, I'm going to Cirebon, where I eat nasi jamblang, or where the breakfast, the best nasi jamblang in Cirebon, or where the where is the best for empal gentong and so forth and so forth. This is the interaction is coming through through social media via food culture.
I'm
But
afraid
in
I
the,
have to start wrapping you up so we can get on to the questions, but I'm so sorry.
and local guide develop skill, take travel to where local eat. Travel wants local food, culinary heritage, not long menu, not not long form fine dining. Increasing demand for local food tour service by travel. This is the service hasn't properly done in Indonesia. The demand is big. Last year I took 30 Philippine woman. We never been travel in Philippines. I've been back and forth Philippines in many time in a year. In Philippines, we are so close. They yet mostly they don't really know about Indonesia. We take 30 women to West Sumatra because they want to see where the Gordon Ramsay shot in the National Geography. So we do that kind of services, and when they back home, they found how come Philippine food the taste is so light because they start encounter experience with very heavy, very complex dish like in West Sumatra. So I do also collab with a Philippine chef in Manila House in Manila. The thing that we do introduce Indonesian food culture internationally is not just bring our food to show it to the other culture, but how to immerse our in mainly Indonesia is our spice base into other cultures. And this is what they can understand more. Then we bring Indonesian food to other culture, and the first thing they ask, "Where's Indonesian food? I like your food, but there's no Indonesian food." The whole world, there are only now maybe only 1,300 Indonesian restaurants. Compared to Thailand, in Sydney alone, there are 1,000, more than 1,000. I've been I've been involved, participate in very few in Asia culinary tour for since 30 years ago. Anytime I join the culinary tour organized by Europe, Australia, or America, I was the only Asian in the group. So I start to learn what is the mean by culinary tour. Culinary tour is not just normally tour. The value of culinary tour, minimum, the cheapest is $500 per day, wherever you go, up to 1,000 or more than 1,000. That's not including the international flight. So I did this kind of tour, just hold it. So just for instance, um, last June, I brought 12 American. I have a partner who specializes in culinary, the World Culinary Tour Program. Is among the best culinary services. This only count on finger in the world. That's not many. This is a culinary tour from Philippines to Bukit Tinggi. So we not only show them what to taste, they participate. They see what they locally cook. This is when I was shooting with Gordon Ramsay with National Geography, highlight on rendang in West Sumatra. National Geography asked me where to drop Gordon Ramsay in Indonesia among 17,000 islands. So I said only, I give you one option, which is West Sumatra, no other option. There's only place that you can start for this show. And until today, since its launched in June 2020, it's been viewed more than 250 million people. So rendang is known, but how to taste authentic rendang is another issue because we don't have enough Indonesian restaurant. Okay, I produce rendang in US also. Take a time to introduce in still a lot of tourists in the world not really know about Indonesia.
I'm sorry, but we do have to stop if you're ready. It's a very good place to stop, though. Friendship with the late Anthony Bourdain, and Gordon Ramsay. If you didn't know that that's the history of William Wongso, you should be very impressed. Thank you very much indeed to William. I know we could listen to him all day. Unfortunately, we can't. But we have got time for just one or two questions. Is there anything on Slido already? Do we have any questions up there? Oh, we've still got Chef Datu talking. Has anything come up on Slido? Anyway, I'm going to start off the questions with one about AI to all of you. We've talked about AI as being the next way of looking at things. Is it good? Is it bad? Are we good at it in Indonesia? Are we good enough at AI? Pauline, is it helping your business, or like before, the whole online travel agent thing started to destroy it? Now we've got everybody is an expert through AI, right? Is it helping the travel agents or not at all?
Again, depends on. So whenever we use AI to ask like ChatGPT, whatever, we still have to check it again, recheck it again. Because when I asked ChatGPT in Bandung, Pak Eddy's hometown, I wanna go to a place, a souvenir shop. Then I check with the ChatGPT, AI, whatever. Then it misled us to a rice field. So it happened to me. Then I heard some tourists when they ask ChatGPT, ask AI, I want to travel to this destination. Do I need visa or not? They said no, visa is not necessary. It's not required. Then they didn't apply for visa. End up they denied boarding. So it's still combination about travel agents with AI. I think it's still a perfect combination. Even for travel agent ourselves, we use AI to create the itinerary just to make our work faster and easier, but still we need to check it again, because when the traveler come to us and then they ask, okay, I want to go to, I check with AI help me to create this itinerary, to custom this itinerary for me. Then when we check the travel pattern, the itinerary is from here, 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 here. So it's not in one direction.
So real experience is more important
Yeah,
than anything
combination.
else. Do we have any Slido questions up yet? No? So we go on to Eddy, your experience with AI. Is it helping AirAsia? You seem to think big data and interpretation is helping.
Okay. For AirAsia, I think we use AI for our chatbot for the limited, for responding all the customer for any question that they have, complaint that they have through this chatbot. I think that's first one. Second, of course, within our backend, we use all the data available to do the predictability of passenger characteristic and etc. for our service actually.
But does anybody here think that speaking to a chat bot is a good idea when you've got a really bad complaint? Not sure about that. I like to get onto somebody who's going to listen to me, not somebody who is already pre-programmed not to listen to me. I know it's more efficient, Eddy, but it can be frustrating, can't it? A few nods around the room. Yes, so that's good and it's bad. Are there any Slido questions? I don't want to close the session without hearing from you. Has anybody asked a question? Maitri has, he always asks questions, so we can rely on him. Can we see it on the screen? No. Oh, we've got one over there. Have you asked one as well? Somebody put it on the screen. Maybe we'll revert to having a microphone go to you. No, here we go. Nope. I do like to have questions from the audience, otherwise you leave frustrated. I'm going to ask this gentleman to speak into a microphone. Tell us who you are and what your question is.
Thank you, Alistair. My name is Iben, and actually, I'm going to ask a question to all the panelists, and probably it can be a bridge as well to the next session, because I'm just curious on the next session will be on. I think it's really connected because you talk about what drives tourism, right? Uh, Airlines, and then from travel operator as well as programs. And our next topic would be sustainability. I just want to get your view, especially, for instance, like from AirAsia, on your footprints and then how it can be reduced, or how your operation can also support, yeah, the destination that you are flying to, as well as from the tour operator, as well as program like sustainable food, like food, as you said, there is agricultural loss, right? It's not only about the loss of the food, but also the loss of the land, the loss of the culture. How do you view this, and how can we tackle this as an ecosystem? Thank you.
A very comprehensive question. So let's start with sustainability in the airline business, which we're always conscious of, but Eddy, right? We get on a plane and our personal carbon footprint goes up.
Yeah.
What's AirAsia doing about that?
I think among the all industry within tourism, if airline considered as one, airline is the one that has mandatory to respond to sustainability, especially for international flights. We have within ICAO called as Corsia, where starting 2024 up to 2026, we have to start offsetting our carbon. And it's mandatory, yeah, not voluntary. And it will be for us in AirAsia, we have already get approval from the government to start charging passenger for additional this carbon offsetting that they have to offset. Starting hopefully if we can push through, we have end of this year we start to impose that, but we have already factored in because Indonesia is the signing country for this Corsia, and all airlines within Indonesia are mandatory to respond to this, and they have to pay what carbon is saying. But there are two things government of in imposing this. Some of you may be aware about sustainable aviation fuel. Second is actually to project carbon project offsetting project. Government mostly impose or urge airline to use SAF. And while actually within Corsia itself, we can do carbon offsetting through projects. But unfortunately, there is no project available in, not in Indonesia, in this part of Asia even, to do some offsetting. And world is, like for example, Indonesia, we need to have 2 million tons of offsetting for 2020. But now we don't have it.
So we need to create those projects to make it happen. Now, I'm aware that we're well into the coffee break now, so I apologize, but we have to answer. No wonder you're anonymous asking that question. Rendang is Indonesian or Malaysian. You can remain anonymous because but William is going to leap off the stage and attack you. But William, please tell us.
No. If you ask Indonesian, of course they said rendang is Indonesian. But more than 100 years ago, there's a flock of West Sumatra people migrant to Malaysia. And they got this cultural exchange between a lot of influence from other people, from other nations, from India, from whatever. And there's become two different things. We cannot say this is rendang Malaysia, never mention rendang Padang. It's Malaysian. In Brunei, they also have rendang. In Singapore, they also have rendang Peranakan. I was once challenged. Why don't we do blind taste? Indonesian rendang, Malaysian rendang, Brunei rendang, Singapore rendang. When line out without naming anything, we invite someone never been to this area to taste and tell us which one is the best. So I cannot say, but even in Indonesia, we still argue, is rendang original Indonesia? I don't think so. The original Indonesian food is not that complex. A lot of spices that used in rendang may be coming from India. I found a few spices used in India, like fenugreek, also used in West Sumatra. That's I can say.
And one final question: Lombok food. Does it exist? Is it good? Christopher wants to know. He seems to be in Lombok. So is there Lombok food cuisine?
You see, the most popular regional cooking in Indonesia is no doubt is Padang, because every Padang they move to other places. They're very entrepreneur. They open. Lombok is not. First, second, Lombok is not a major tourism destination, and Lombok also by the name of Lombok, which is also related to chili. It's very originally very spicy. Personally, I love it very much. They have their own character. It's like Bali, but not Bali because they are Muslim.
I'm afraid we have to leave it at that and let you have a coffee break now. But first of all, I'd like to thank, or lastly, I'd like to thank Ibu Pauline for giving us the travel agents, but Eddy to give us AirAsia's view, and of course, but William to tell us something very important, which is when you go traveling, go on a culinary tour and discover really the character of the destination. A big round of applause, please, for our speakers. Thank you very much indeed.